looking for Ewing. Tucker launches it. It's good! It's good! Yes, it is possible to shoot with 1/10 of a second left.
Wake up with the latest from across the NBA. This is The Starting Lineup with Frank Isola and Malik Rose on SiriusXM NBA Radio, Sirius 207, XM 86, and the SiriusXM app.
Yes, back in 1990, as Al Trawick just told you on the MSG broadcast, that it was possible to shoot with 1/10 of a second. No more. It's hard to believe it's been 25 years, and, of course, Trent Tucker made that famous shot against the Chicago Bulls. The NBA changed the rule, and it's great for Trent because it's called the Trent Tucker Rule. We wanted to bring Trent in here. Trent, it's Frank Isola, Malik Rose. How you doing this morning?
Good. How you guys doing this morning also?
Good, really good. First of all, let's just mention that over All-Star Weekend, and this will happen on the Saturday, February 14th at Frames, located right here in New York City. Trent is going to have a celebrity a bowling event which will benefit JDRF. Trent, just tell us a little bit about the event that you're running because it's going to be a lot of fun. Tons of people are going to be in town. Just tell us something about the event.
Well, it's an event to raise funds for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. And, and diabetes has been close to my heart because, my father and brother, lost their lives due to complications of diabetes. And it's a program that I've been working with for a lot of years. And it is something that has been taking a big toll on our young people as well. And when you see young kids who are struggling with this disease, and being a part of a team that is trying to find a cure, to give these young people an opportunity not to deal with this disease anymore. And for me to be a part of this group is a wonderful place to be.
That's great. And a couple of the confirmed guests that will include Scottie Pippen, Byron Scott, Charles Oakley, John Starks. Those are all Trent's teammates because he played in New York, played in Chicago. Even the great Patrick Ewing will be there. So that should be a lot of fun on February 14th. Now, if people want to get involved, what should they do, Trent?
Well, they can go to the website to purchase tickets at bit.ly/Tucker Bowl.
Okay, and we'll make sure we give out
and,
that. We'll make sure.
For more information, also they can contact MJ or Gina at Intran Public Relations.
Okay, and we'll make sure we mention that a couple of times before the event. Hey, Trent, so like I said before, it's hard to believe that this has been 25 years. It happened 25 years ago today. It was Martin Luther King Day at Madison Square Garden. You made that shot. I know it's been a long time. What do you remember about it? I'm sure it's got to be one of the highlights of your career.
Well, it was the first year they had gone to test the seconds on the game clock and the shot clock, and we were playing the Chicago Bulls in the afternoon matinee at Madison Square Garden. And I can remember the game was tied at 106, and it was 1/10 of a second left. And the play was designed to throw a lob pass for Patrick Ewing, and I was supposed to be a decoy to go from one side of the floor to the other to empty out the backside, hoping that I would bring Michael Jordan with me, to empty out the backside to give Patrick Ewing a chance to fake up and go to the rim for the tap-in. But Michael Jordan, being the smart player that he was, he read the play. And we didn't have a second option. We didn't have enough time to have a second option. And I knew that Mark Jackson was up against a 5-second count. So I went from the baseline up to the sideline, and he gave me a little flip pass, and I turned and shot the ball as quickly as I could. And Scottie Pippen was right there in my face, and I was able to get the ball over his outstretched long arms just in time enough to get the shot off. And for us, the rest was history.
In time enough to get the shot off. I mean, truthfully, 25 years later, was the shot good? Did you get it off in time, or did you just get it lucky with the whistle?
I about 2 weeks after the shot was made, I had a chance. I had to go in and meet with, at that time, Commissioner David Stern, and he said, "Well, Trent, the shot is going to stand." And he said, "We know the shot didn't count. There's no way a man can get off a shot in the 10th of a second." And I said, "Mr. Commissioner, with all due respect, I beg to differ." He said, "Why is that?" I said, "Because the reason you and I are having this conversation today is because you saw a man make a shot in the 10th of a second." And he said, "Trent, get out of my office."
and of course, Phil Jackson was in his first year as coach of the Chicago Bulls, and they protested, and the protest was disallowed. The basket counted. The Knicks go on to win the game. And Frank Isola Malik Rose were joined by Trent Tucker. Trent, you're still living in the Minnesota area, correct?
Yes, I do.
So tell us a little bit about Andrew Wiggins, what you've seen from him. This is a guy, he's got a live body, and he looks like, he's young, but he looks like a couple years down the road he could really turn into something. What have you seen from him?
In the first part of the season, I was watching what Coach Philip Saunders was trying to do with him. They were trying to put him in situations where they were trying to isolate him, more times than not, to go one-on-one to see if he could carry a load from that standpoint. But then they realized that was too much to ask of anybody, just to give them the ball and say, beat everybody one-on-one and get to the basket and make a play. Now they begin to move him around a little bit more. They're setting screens. They're bringing him from different angles on the floor so he can find some space to operate. And since they've gone to that style of offense for him, his game has picked up tremendously. You can see the athleticism, and he has a chance to be a very good player for a long time.
I tend to agree. I think he has been playing better the last month of the season. I mean, he's had some pretty big games. He's playing more minutes, and I didn't know that was the issue going on. What you said, they were just handing him the ball and telling him to go, but it seems weird. I mean, I think Philip Saunders runs some of the best plays in the NBA. He has a great offense that he runs, and that just seems weird to me. But what else have you seen from this Minnesota team? I mean, I saw the other day, Big Mo Williams had 52 points. I don't know if you got a chance to see that game, but what else have you seen with this Timberwolves team?
Well, the young players are getting, the ample time to grow, with so many injuries happening to so many key players at the start of the season. And you mentioned Mo Williams having the big game the other night against Indiana by scoring 52 points, to break a 16-game losing streak. But any time you have young players, it's going to be a struggle. And Flip has talked about, being patient and making sure that, during this time, things may not be going well in the win and loss column, for his team. But he's trying to make sure that these players play the right way. And when they get themselves, back together with the full team once again, that these young guys have taken the next step, so the team can become stronger once they come back together again. I think it's important when young players, get the extra minutes, is that they learn what it takes to be a good player in the NBA. And Malik, you know how hard it is when young guys come in to understand, that transition from college to the NBA.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
We're talking with Trent Tucker. Trent, if you could, we've been talking a lot about LeBron and the power that he has in the Cleveland Cavaliers organization. We were talking about the trip that he made. He practiced in Phoenix and flew to Dallas for the national championship game, flew back, ended up playing the next day. You played with Patrick Ewing in New York. You played with Michael Jordan in Chicago. I'm sure that they had some influence on things that went on in the organization, but where do you kind of draw that line where, yes, the player is going to have some say, but you can't basically, turn the keys to the organization over to the player?
Well, things are different today. LeBron James going back to Cleveland, he has carte blanche, it's probably to do whatever he wants to do, because they were so happy to get him back into the organization. We all saw what happened to the Cavaliers once he lost. It was a team that was in disarray. But the two guys you mentioned that I played with, they were the ultimate team players, and I believe that LeBron James is the same way. Patrick Ewing and Michael Jordan, they were the first guys at practice, and they were the last to leave. And when you have leaders who set those types of examples, it's easier for the coach now to make sure that everyone else can fall into place. We all know that they're going to have, some days where these guys are able to do certain things that other players can't do. But as a teammate, you understand that, because every single night when you go out to battle, those guys are going to show up for you.
Hey, Trent, I want to hear your views on this, because you were one of the few guys that, played in New York, and you also played under Phil Jackson with the triangle system. So what is it? Give us your views on this triangle system and what makes it so special. And if you can surmise on, what has been the struggle with the Knicks adopting it this year? Why has it been so hard for these guys to pick it up?
No, I think they have the one key piece to make it work, and that's Carmelo Anthony. You need an all-star type player, a very good offensive player from that mid-range, 15 to 17 to 18 feet, who can catch the ball when the shot clock is winding down, and make a play off of 1 or 2 bounces. We had that with Michael Jordan. The Lakers had that with Kobe Bryant, and they had Shaquille O'Neal. But also we had Scottie Pippen. I think it's the other players that you surround the star player with. And if you have multiple guys who need the basketball, often to make their offense work. If you have 2 guys who do the same thing, it's hard for the triangle to work. It's a read and react type of offense, but you have to have balance. You have to have a number of role players who understand what their roles are, to make this work. And it's a struggle because the Knicks at the time when Phil Jackson came in, you had guys who were used to dominating the basketball. And if you have multiple guys, who need to take 1 or 2 or 3 more dribbles to make their offense work, this offense is going to struggle because you can't find the flow that you're looking for.
We're talking with Trent Tucker. Trent, one more thing before we let you go. We said it's the 25th anniversary of you making that shot. It happened on Martin Luther King Day. And back then, the NBA didn't play a lot of the games. Now they do. And you don't want to minimize the day, but I think the fact that the NBA does play on Martin Luther King Day, it does draw awareness to everything that Martin Luther King meant to this country and the civil rights movement. For you, when you think about Martin Luther King Day, what jumps out at you?
Well, it's great to see that, this day is honored in so many different ways because like you mentioned, it brings so much attention from so many different people in so many different walks of life. And for me to be able to play on that day, that was an honor indeed, just because all the things that he stood for and all the things that he was trying to accomplish, and he was trying to, through his speech and through the marches and through his voice, he was trying to bring the country together and to let us all know that we all are Americans, and if we are willing to work together, good things can happen for all of us. So for me to have an opportunity to play for a great organization like the Knicks and to play on that day, it was a special deed and honor for me.
Trent, we really appreciate it. And folks, don't forget, February 14th at Frames, located right here on 9th Avenue in New York City. Trent will have a bowling event. It will benefit JDRF. Some of the guests that have already confirmed: Patrick Ewing, Charles Oakley, John Stark, Scottie Pippen will be there as well. Trent, good luck with it. I'm sure we'll catch up to you at some point over the next couple of weeks, okay?
All right. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks a lot. That was